Hi. So a couple of days ago, I ended up damaging the screen of my display of my laptop, and I had to go ahead searching for alternatives. So during that time, I had also kind of like ended up burning a few other chips on the uh, of the laptop. So I had like two extra spare laptops, and I decided that I'm going to disassemble them. But and I started doing it, and then I suddenly thought that maybe I could film myself while doing that. So I have decided I actually kind of like already disassembled this to an extent, but there's still so much more inside that I thought that I'll create like a quick video of the disassembling process of a laptop. So this is one of them. This used to be my laptop. I totally love it. It has so many stickers, and I'd worked so hard to make it look so cool, but I would not be able to use it anymore. So what I have planned on doing is I've just like removed the back part, like uh, I've removed the screw, and the chassis is here, and I just have to uh, so this is something that I'm keeping aside now, and I intend to take up all the important parts from here, which I could probably use for some of my hardware projects, or use it for a laptop or wherever it's needed. Also further, if I open this up, then I have already also gone ahead taking out the screen or the display. So the display uh, is actually placed, this one was screwed like this, and different types of displays would have different ways of attaching. Some would have this kind of like a rod kind of a thing. I don't think this one has it. So yeah, this was more of attached type. It depends. So this is the HP laptop, so the display isn't connected that way. If you open a Lenovo one, what you would actually find is there's going to be like this string, which also like a metallic rod or a wire that actually holds this together, and you have to unscrew that and remove it, and then you get your display. Now this particular display from the HP laptop that I have removed is actually a 15.6 inch, and it's of Samsung, which is here. I don't know if you can see it. So this works pretty fine. So this is not the damaged display. My damaged display is of another laptop, which is on the other side. So this display, I really want to preserve it so that I can use it some other time. Now from here, what I want to do is I want to take out anything and everything that can be used. For example, we would have a webcam here. So I intend to remove that and use for some robotics projects. I do need this connector, so I'm planning to see if we can somehow get our hands on it and remove it. There's also this keyboard. The keyboard also works perfectly fine. So the problem with this particular laptop was that, as you know, Goa has heavy rainfall. So on one of the days when I had kept it for charging overnight, and there was like thunderstorm, it the current just overflowed and burnt the motherboard of my laptop, because of which I could not use it, because the motherboards, as you know, are like really expensive. So I did not go ahead fixing this one, but I rather went ahead buying a new one. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to unscrew every damn screw that's there, and uh, like a typical Indian woman who goes ahead preserving the containers of food packets so that the containers can be used afterwards, I'm going to remove all these screws and all these different parts, and I'm going to preserve them properly such that I can probably use them again sometime soon. So let's get started with this. I've already removed the hard disk. So, and what I did with that is I actually needed some additional external storage. So I took the hard disk out. So generally, the hard disk would have a metallic casing, and it's placed somewhere here. So we just have to unscrew it, and then you get something like this. So this one, if you see, it's a 1 TB hard disk which is there, and even this works pretty fine. So this wasn't a damaged piece. So what I did is I unscrewed it and I removed it from here, and now I have this. What we can do with a hard disk like this, which you get from a computer, is that you can go ahead buying a case like this. Okay, so this is just like your cover for a hard disk. So you get this on Amazon for around, it should cost you around 500 rupees. So once you have this case, this also comes with your wire, so you don't really have to worry about the cord. The cord is also there with the case that's sent. Now what you have to do is take the hard disk, and as you can see that there is these connectors here, and over here you can see there's this connector here. So all you have to do is just take this particular thing, and we're just going to slide it inside. So I'm putting it here, and I'm just going to firmly slide it in. Once I've done this, this can actually be used like a hard disk that we generally have. So so that is it. So we just sealed it. I got the one by Orico, and just check your USBs for the speed. So just check the specifications before you buy, and then it should be fine. Like depending on your budget, go for one. So this can now be independently used, and also if you had like any sensitive data that was there, you can go ahead extracting this by connecting this to a different laptop. So this is the first thing that we get out of an old damaged laptop. We've just taken some extra storage space, and now I keep that aside. The second thing that I just removed from here before I could think of creating a video was this. Here, this is like you can. The new laptops are not really coming with a slot for have watching VCDs or DVDs, etc. So you can just use remove this, and then similarly, just like how you got a case for this, you can get a casing for this. I did not go ahead with it because I have already done this for another laptop, and I already have one, so I didn't need a second one. But you get a similar case, and then you just have to connect this, and even this is ready to use, so you can go ahead using this one. So this is like the second thing that you can take out from a broken laptop. Now let's go ahead looking at the other parts. This area here would have RAM. I have removed the RAM as well, but those are the only three things I've removed so far, and let's go ahead getting our hands dirtied with more things. This along with the fan, so we could remove the fan and this, and it's going to act like a beautiful heat sink for our projects which require some amount of cooling. So this is a really good thing to go for. I had seen this one particular application of this particular thing where the person had actually used this heat sink to do a very fancy LED work. So that was really beautifully done. So that's one of these guys. So once you have removed this, there's going to be this one connection. So just push it aside, and this should be good to go. So you just want to remove it very softly so that you don't damage the wire, because you don't, soldering these will be very difficult as they're really very tiny. And that's this fan which could be used for some of your project. Also, this could be used as a heat sink somewhere. So this is like the third thing that we can use. Now let's go ahead taking out some more parts. I think the next thing that I want to go for is, I think I'll remove this so that I can have a look at the keyboard. So let's go ahead, removing this part. We obviously have to be really very careful while removing these because we don't really want to damage this while removing. So whenever you have this type of a connector here, generally it's going to have a tape. So first, like, gradually peel off the tape, and then you'll be able to see these wires connected. Either use your screwdriver or anything to just push it aside and remove this particular one. I know it's common sense, but generally we tend to plug it out. So using the screwdriver is the right way to do it so that we don't damage any parts. So further, I'm just going to push these aside and remove this too. So I've managed disconnecting decent amount of stuff. Let's go ahead removing this and this. There's one here which I want to remove again. Okay. Where else do we have a connection? The next part that we've managed getting out is this particular board. So over here we can just see that we have this HDMI, USB, Ethernet and audio ports which are here, but I don't know how much I would be able to use it because this was actually the part which was damaged. There's just one battery here or a cell here which I guess I could use. So I'm taking that off, but I don't think there is, I'm not very sure if I would be able to do anything out of this rather than some fancy thing, because that's the damaged part of this particular laptop. So let us go ahead dismantling more stuff. The next thing that I want to do is remove this. There are two really good speakers here, and both the speakers are not damaged. So I intend to remove those speakers out, and probably we could use those speakers uh, for creating like an external speaker for additional volume. So the sound quality of it was it's average. It's neither really good nor bad. So we could definitely go ahead using that. Here are all the connectors for the display. So I'm just going to keep them because a lot of times when I'm doing my hobby robotics projects, I tend to not have uh, the necessary connectors. So what I really treasure here actually are all the connectors that I'll be getting a hand on, because there's going to be quite a decent amount of variety that we would be able to fetch from here. So I'm really looking forward to that. Let's go ahead. So if we see this, we have another USB port which was on the other side, and this is easily extractable, and I think I can use this one because this looks pretty intact, so I can definitely go ahead using this one for some projects. So wherever we need a USB port, I'm going to go ahead using this one. For the, how do I remove these speakers? Okay, so that was simple. I just have to lift it and then the speaker comes out. So this is interesting. These are two speakers, and we can definitely go ahead creating some good sound system, probably something that can be mounted on the wall. So suppose I just want like a little bit of music somewhere here, so just cleaning this a little bit and having it in a good pattern like this, and then just having it on the wall, but more finished, not like this is currently dirty, but just doing a little bit of craft work on it, and then we'll be able to use it pretty well for the room. Because I had actually done that before to one of the old laptops, and it worked really well. So that does act like a good extra pair of speakers. Come out. Thank you. Let's go ahead disassembling more of this. We have one more, and now I think it's pretty much cleaned. The last thing that's left here he is. Ouch. It's just the keyboard, and I'm trying to remove it, but it just got stuck somewhere. I'm not able to understand why. Yep. So now I'll keep this one aside for a minute. As you can see, this is a laptop, this is a keyboard, and we have this here. I can still go ahead using this as an independent individual keyboard, and so this can also be used. This is not going waste. This will find its place in one of the projects. Something which is very cool, which, hey, please be seated. Well, thank you. Something very interesting that I saw in another project was that what they did was they went ahead mounting the keyboard and the display on the wall and the table, and it worked really well. So if you have like this type of an LCD screen, so it can, you need like there's this thing called LCD controller board. So what you're going to do is you're going to connect the LCD controller board over here. This is a 30-pin display, and once you've connected it here, the LCD board would have your HDMI, so you can directly plug it and then start using this like an independent display. So what's cool is probably, you know, we could also have it attached on a wall, and this can act like a good wallpaper kind of, because it's like really, if you see, there is, the thickness is very less, it's very fine and beautiful, so it goes flat on the wall. Secondly, another thing that could be done also is the Raspberry Pi smart mirror. So if you know about it, there is this mirror which shows weather and all the weather forecast and the date and the time, etc., etc. So that can be created, and that requires a display, so that can be done. Even in some cases what happens is that the display is totally gone. So what, in the sense that if there was a cut or there was a crack and the display wasn't really intact, still do not worry. There's still so much that can be done from a product. So simply, in case if your display is damaged, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take out and peel off, and inside this you're going to find flat layers. So there are going to be a lot of sheets which are there, which are going to be translucent, and they're going to have like really beautiful luster to them. So what you can do is take up and kind of like do different shapes and insert some LED lights inside, and it actually makes for a really beautiful ambience in terms of how the eyes receive it, etc. So it's not going to be too bright, it's going to be just perfect lighting for your room. So that's also something that can be done in case if the laptop, this display was actually cracked or had some flaws. Now we might think that this is like pretty empty and it's just case, but that's really not the scene. What we're going to do next is we're going to go for the webcam that's here. And what I actually need and what's my requirement for current project is I need the display connector, which is here. So I actually have to still remove a lot of parts from here. So we're going to get started with this. This would require us to unscrew a few more things. That one and this one. I'm just going to open this, and here again, if it's difficult to open, but you just have to open it. And then you're going to just find 3 more, and let's go ahead doing it for this side. What I personally do is I don't even throw away the chassis, and I actually keep it because they end up being used at one or the other robotics projects, because you always need some sort of casing or some support structure. And since I do not have a 3D printer and I don't go ahead 3D printing things, I like to make my things like this. So I also like to keep these things, so whenever I need support or whatever, I would bend it and use it, or whatever has to be done, because this also actually makes like a good open and close kind of a structure, right? So I could probably, because this was acting for the display, it was holding it, and then what we were doing every time we were opening our laptop was just doing these things. So this is still pretty much usable for some function like that. Although it's a little dirty, but definitely can be cleaned. So I'm going to, in a similar manner, I'm going to remove the screws from the other side too. With this as well. So both these would act like a good supporting structure somewhere. Now my favorite parts, I really wanted these connectors so bad. So let me just slowly go ahead removing them. You just have to be careful because you don't want to break anything. There's sometimes they're stuck a little too hard, but you just have to remove it somehow. Okay, so here is one of my first connectors. Oh god. Good lord, please come out. Please come out. So what we've managed extracting here is, यहाँ पे is the tiny camera which can be used. This further goes to the display, and this I'm not able to recollect. I think this was going for the card. I am not able to recollect, but I know that this is an expensive and important part. So I'm going to use this camera for something. Now the next thing I want to do is remove this. In the next episodes, I think we'd like to see how we can go ahead using these particular parts and create something interesting, such that we've made the most out of a laptop that we just assembled. The easiest parts to use when you've assembled is definitely this display. It's super easy because all you need is an LCD controller board, and you can directly go ahead plugging and using it. So this is one of the easiest thing. The second easiest thing I would also say is are these things. So basically your hard disk and your CD drive and also your heat sink. So that's going to be the second easiest thing, because even if it's not for cooling down the device, I think we could still go ahead with some fancy craft work related with the use of this particular fan too. It's a lot of dirt in here. Okay, so, and yeah, definitely another thing that is easy to use again is the speakers. They are also as you can see, they are already connected, etc. So they're actually in the ready to use state. All you have to do is just plug it and then start using it, and it's going to work fine. So there isn't anything much that has to be done here too. With that, having said that, I think the other parts too are also, they need a little bit of work, but they can be used as well. So as far as the webcam that we just removed is concerned, or whether the keyboard is concerned, I think these are also surely parts which can be used. This can go as replacement or can go out on OLX. So that's a choice. I hope you enjoyed disassembling the laptop as much as I did, because I totally love the process, although it's a little bit of mess now. But thank you so much for watching, and in the next videos I think I'll probably like to go ahead doing something creative out of this so that we can all make use of our old laptops. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching.